Right, let's move on to great performances from the coaching ranks. I had this one popped right into my head immediately when I thought of it, so you always go with your first reaction. Who do you have as the coach of the year?
Well, we spoke a little bit about the team up north in the Leo Lions, and Jared Souter did a fantastic job. I thought he's done a fantastic job for 6 years up there, but they really had a tougher deal this year in moving up to 4A. And it wasn't so much that they won the ACAC, which they did again this year, and they dominated that. That's not what impresses me about Leo, because they are the biggest school in the conference, and so they should dominate that league. But I was really anxious to see what they did in the postseason, and what they did was they just kept on rolling in the postseason. And they knocked off Bishop Dwenger, a very, very good Bishop Dwenger team. So despite the increased level of competition for Leo, they didn't skip a beat, and they really had a great team on both sides of the ball this year. Their offense was balanced between running and passing. Their defense was phenomenal, and they played South Bend, Washington very, very tough in the semi-state. So I'm going to have to go with Jared Souter. That's not to say that other guys didn't deserve it as well. Much like the Player of the Year, you could throw a bunch of names out there, like Ryan Hall at Northside, Lee Etzler at Cherubusco, and Matt Lindsay. Let's not forget Matt Lindsay.
True.
All he does is win state championships. And so there's a bunch of guys that could get it, but if I have to pick one, I think the job that Jared Souter did this year in taking his team to another level, literally and figuratively, was really the most impressive job.
I got Jared Souter as number 2 on my list. You just named the guy that I thought was coach of the year, and that's Lee Etzler at Cherubusco. Yeah. Kyle Mathewson, Kyle Monk, gone, graduated,
right,
playing college football. Monk's at Trine. Mathewson ended up at St. Francis, so you know they're quality players. But what he did with Lefevre, Nicodemus, all those guys had such a great season. And to go 11-1, undefeated, the first time they've had an undefeated team in Busco history, after losing some of the best players in program history. I got to tip my hat to the job that Lee Etzler did. Also had Matt Lindsay on that list as well,
right,
and Jason Arnold at South Adams. South Adams
did a great job.
Yeah, had a great season, especially on the defensive side of the football, one of the tougher defenses you'll see in all of 1A football, and so he deserves to be mentioned, I think. But yeah, it is funny how we overlook Matt Lindsay sometimes. All he does is win, 9 state championships. Ties him with Bud Wright for the most all time. But you got to have somebody to pull the trigger, even if you have the talent.
Somebody has to set up the offense. Somebody has to teach the defense. Somebody has to get the team to play disciplined, smart football. And let's be honest, they just made teams look silly this year. And I'm not talking about like week 3 or 4 where they're playing some overmatched team. I'm talking about once they got in the regional, semi-state, state championship game. They just made great teams look silly. And that comes down to a lot of talent, but somebody has to coach that talent. Matt Lindsay is as good as it gets.